Hello Transmanians, and welcome to a video on how I make transit videos. Now, the purpose for this video is to not only show you on how I film and edit my videos, but also if you are at the verge of becoming a rail fanner or a bus fanner or something like that, in this video, here are the tools in order for you to become something like that. For a very long time, you have came across a lot of YouTube channels of users filming on the TTC or somewhere else, and not only you enjoy watching these videos, but you also say to yourself, I want to become just like that person. I want to make my own videos, and that is pretty easy. All you need is a camera, post the footage on YouTube, and then there you go. But in this video, I'm going to show you on how I've planned before filming my routes, and additionally how I professionally edit my videos to make it clean and upload it on YouTube. So sit down, relax, and let's dive in. Now, before we can start filming transit, we need to know about the bylaws. Now, for many years, bus fanning and rail fanning has been considered controversial according to transit employees and personnel. Whenever they see a guy at the front of the train or at a station with a camera, the first thing they're going to ask you is if you have a permit, which in this case you don't. The reason why they ask you this because they automatically assume that what you are doing is for commercial use. Now, for those who have no idea what I'm talking about, what I mean by commercial use, let me explain. Commercial use is basically something that you get profit for. For example, you film something on a bus, a train, or something, and you use those clips for a documentary that would be aired on TV or a movie or something else, and somehow you get money for it. Yeah, I don't understand how a guy on a TTC filming with a cell phone camera or something below that will be used for commercial use. It doesn't make any sense. And it seems to me that once in a while, when I'm out there, this happens.
Are you recording there, buddy? You got a permit for that? What? You got a permit?
No, this is just for myself.
Just what?
No, it's not for nobody.
I think you need a permit.
Oh,
You cannot take picture.
no.
Okay. Some people are taking videos, putting on YouTube. That's privacy. You can't do it. Okay.
But on the plus side, this only happens once in a while. Now, what I got here is pretty much 3 examples of bylaws from each transit system. This bylaw I'm showing you is from the TTC, and if you look at section 3.17, it says no person shall operate any camera, video recording device, movie camera, or anything similar device for commercial purposes upon the transit system without authorization. Yeah, I totally get it, and I'm doing this for YouTube, not for something else. Now, let's look at another bylaw from YRT, and it says in section 3.27, it says, no use of cameras. 3.27, no person shall operate for any commercial purposes any audio or visual recording device on a transit vehicle or within the transit facility unless a person has obtained a prior authorization from the region allowing him or her to do something, and it's operating the device in accordance with the terms of such authorization. Yeah, pretty much the same thing, and like I said, I'm only doing this for YouTube. Now, lastly, here's one from Go Transit. Now, this one is pretty different, and it says in section 3.23, and it says, nothing in this bylaw prohibits the posting of signs, the official notices, and information of the use of any camera, video recording device, movie camera, or any similar device by the corporation on corporation property. You see, these are the things you really need to know and be aware about when it comes to these bylaws, because what you are doing is actually legal because it's for YouTube and nothing else. I guess my only advice is to print a copy of the bylaw for whatever transit system you're recording and highlight it so if anything happens, you can show the transit worker and then they can probably let you go. The good news is, according to my experience, these problems usually happen to me once in a while, so it's not something that happens every time. But if you print a copy of the bylaw, then they should let you do what you are doing. And if not, then the only thing is that they have their heads stuck in the sand. But in the end, it's perfectly legal to film on transit property as long it's for YouTube only. Now that we have looked at the bylaws, let's move on to something interesting, and that is planning the route. Now, what I usually do when it comes to filming on a route, I ask these questions. Is it an all-day route? Does it only run on rush hour, or does the route change during AM, PM, peak off times? How frequent is the bus schedule? Does this route have a branch? Does it have more than one branch? Which branch is the longest? All sorts of stuff. And it helps me when I want to record a route. Now, if you don't care about filming on full-length routes, or you just want to film on your favorite bus, or just want to go train spotting or whatever, you don't necessarily always have to follow this. But the reason why I'm doing this video is to show you on how I do this kind of stuff. So that's why this video exists. Now, when it comes to filming on a route that has branches, what I usually do is to film on the branch that goes the furthest. Now, let's say I want to film on the 43 Kennedy, which I've already did like many months ago. And there are two destinations, one that goes to Scarborough Town Center and one that goes to Steeles Avenue right over here. And now, which direction would I take? And that would be Steeles Avenue, because that is where we see everything. Even though the 43 Kennedy starts on Kennedy Station and one of the branches ends at Scarborough Town Center, but you see everything when it goes all the way to Steeles Avenue right over here. And that is something that I would do when it comes to routes like that. Now, if I film on a route with no branches, easy, just go from point A to point B. Now, if the route has an off-peak and on-time peak times, that is when I need to check my schedule, and I find out when these bus times begin and end so that I don't run into any problems. Now, later on in this video, we are going to focusing on editing, and the route that I'll be doing for this recording session is the 37 Islington. Yeah, I'm gonna do the 37 Islington going from Humberwood Loop to Islington Station. And now you may be asking why couldn't I just film on, I don't know, Steeles Avenue, going from Steeles Avenue to Islington Station. Well, because the 37 Islington is the first route I did when I started this channel 5 years ago. But back when I was doing full length routes, it was in parts. So as an anniversary video, what I decided to do this year is to do the same thing, but this time in a full length video. So that's why I'm doing the 37 Islington. And besides, there may be updates along the routes, some things may run to. And this is an all-day route, including this branch over here. And I'm gonna start from Humberwood Loop, and I continue down from Humberwood to Islington Station. And all I need to do is to check in the time and day when the bus is coming, and we'll hop on the bus and see what bus I get, and we'll do it down from there. Now you may ask yourself, what kind of camera should I use for transit fanning? You can pretty much use a cell phone camera or even a camera recorder. Now, as long as the picture comes out great, you are pretty much good to go. Now, for those who are using a cell phone camera or even an iPod, it is suggested that you have at least a 32GB iPhone or even more than that. Otherwise, anything less than that will be pretty problematic. But again, if you don't care about full-length videos, then perhaps it won't be a problem. But if you do long videos, then 32GB is the right size for your videos. And if you're using a camcorder, the same thing, 32GB. Now, on the 37 Islington, I recorded with a camcorder, and inside the camcorder is a 32GB micro SD card that has a recording time for more than 3 hours. And that's all you need. You can get more than that, but 32GB is my preference for something like that. Especially, let's say I film on a GO transit route that lasts for 2 hours, no problem. Another thing that I suggest is portable battery chargers. They're easy to get. You could get it at pretty much at any electronics store. There are for cell phones and iPods, and even some for cameras, depending on what you are getting. You plug it in the wall, and when it's full, you go out, and when your cell phone battery is low, no problem. Get the charger, get a cord, and plug it in. Now, depending on what you are getting, it should be cheap, and the cheapest I have seen is $7. So after that, you should be good. Now, before recording, try to have a knowledge on what kind of buses are on this route. Now, there are places you can go and find out on what bus fleets you can catch for the trip. And one of the site is called one of these sites is called Transy. So I'm gonna click it right over here. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So you click on the website. It's called transy.ca, and you go to the website and you see Toronto area, and you can see that there are so many varieties of transit routes across the United States. You got Washington DC, Boston, San Francisco, New York City. For the Toronto area, you only got the TTC, you got New York Region Transit, you got Kitchener-Waterloo GRT. So we'll go to Toronto, and let's say I go on the 37 Islington, and I go on the 37 Islington, and then I go southbound to Islington Station, and it says Humberwood Boulevard Loop at View Greens Crescent. That is where Humberwood Loop is. So I go here, I click on, just wait for it to open, and here we are. What we got here is it's pretty much the bus schedule, but it's not only a bus schedule, it's the type of buses that is coming. For example, in 14 minutes you got the 942 bus coming, and a 942 is bus number 8029. And for those who don't know what fleet number for 8029 is, that is the Orion 7. And so if I were to catch an Orion, go on the Islington bus, I'll be catching an Orion 7. And if I miss that bus in 32 minutes at 10 o'clock, 8044, again an Orion 7. And if I miss that bus, the next bus that'll be coming is an 8424. And what is an 8424? The 8424 would be the no bus LFS, which means there you go, a Nova Bus LFS. And I go here in 67 minutes at 10:36 a.m. The vehicle 7957, what is that? Again, an Orion 7. So you could see that the 37 Islington, the vast majority are a bunch of Orion 7. So you really need to know the fleet numbers for these type of buses, and you really need to know identify with the fleet number on what bus you are taking. Now, for the 37 Islington, the buses that usually run, as you know, are only Orion 7s, and what we just saw just now, a rare Nova Bus LFS, but I've rarely see them, especially in the 37A route. And you probably usually see them on the main route from Steeles Avenue to Islington Station and back. But usually on the 37A, I usually see Orion 7s, but we're going southbound, so it's called the 37 Islington from Humberwood Loop to Islington Station. So when I did my recording session there, I recorded on an Orion 7. Now, once the bus arrives, I jot down the fleet number on my phone so I can remember it for the title of the video. And another thing I do is to take a picture of the bus, which is something that I do sometimes if possible. And I do that to just let everyone know that I was on that bus on the day of the shoot. However, if I don't take the photo, the alternative thing to do is to just go into my photo library on my computer and just choose the same bus with a different fleet number. But it will still be great if I take a photo of the same bus with the same fleet number. Whenever you record on a bus, go to the back of the bus, because that is where the engine is, and the closer you are to the engine, the better. And once you're at the back of the bus, I usually record at the right side, because that is where all the bus stops and that's where all the people get off and on. Now, when I started this channel 5 years ago, I would sometimes record at the left side of the bus, but as the years went by, I decided to rather record at the right side of the bus because it's better. The same applies to GO trains, although there are some stations that are on the left as well. While recording, I steady the camera, because back when I started, there used to be a lot of times where I shake the camera. I used to have this bad habit of zooming into random things, but I stopped doing that, and now my full route videos are more fluent and more smooth. Now, when it comes to seats, there are usually one or two places at the back of the bus where I can sit. Either it's at the back or 2 seats from the back of the bus. Now it pretty much depends on what type of bus it is, but what I usually do to gain advantage of these seats is to be at the front of the line, so when the bus arrives, I'm in first. But my best preference is at the very back. Now, when it comes to old My Way buses, I usually sit a few seats from the back, because the buses have the My Way logo, and that could be quite annoying. When recording, I make sure I do it on a day when the weather is clear. Either it's a sunny day or if it's overcast. When I'm pointing at the direction of the camera, I'm pointing at the angle where you can see a little bit of the interior of the bus and the window. So if I'm recording during a rainy day, the water is just going to mess up the window, and that would be pretty bad. And there were a few times I had to do reshoots because it just didn't look good. On my 354 Blue Night bus route video, I had to film on 2 buses because on my first shoot, unscheduled rain came out of nowhere, and thus I had to combine 2 videos to make it look good. So I usually make sure I check the weather to see what day and what time the rain is coming. Now, when it comes to winter, especially in January and February, it could be pretty tough because that's when that's the time when buses get dirty and you have dirty windows. So I try my best to find something that is somewhat clean, and once I do that, I do my thing, and that's pretty much it. Welcome to post-production. Now for you already got your video. It's you got your raw file, you got the raw footage of the recording, and all you need to do is just upload it on YouTube, and that's it. But for me, before that needs to be done, I need to just edit what I got, and after that it could be posted on YouTube. Now here, if you go into the video section, here is the video of the 37 Islington that I filmed, and as you can see, it's 37 minutes long. Oh, that's a coincidence, 37 minutes, huh? With 590 gigabytes. Wow, that's pretty long. By the way, I filmed this on 1080p, so 1080p, and yeah, 1080p. So right now, all I need to do is to take this footage and minimize it, and let's do that right now. So hold on a second. So let's go into an editing site called Vegas Pro. Now for my videos, I edit on Sony Vegas Pro. When I started transit fanning, my first software that I use is pretty much Windows Movie Maker and I used Windows Movie Maker until I decided to move to Sony Vegas Pro. And the difference between these two programs is that Sony Vegas Pro is much more advanced, while Windows Movie Maker is much more basic. So I decided to move into something that is more advanced and more you pretty much do more stuff, and that's pretty much how I got into Sony Vegas Pro. And to get Sony Vegas Pro, you usually need to buy the software, or if you're lucky enough to get the patch, you could just use it for free instead. So let's open up a file. Now what I usually do for my videos is that whatever file that I used last time, I go to it. So for example, my last TTC video was the 191C. So let's go to the 191C. Hold on a second. Humber College bus terminal to Kipling Station. As you can see, it's loading right now. Ignore that. Now I'm gonna explain why I go to my previous my last TTC video, and that is because of delete. So right now I'm just deleting the files, but the reason why I go to my last TTC videos is because of this. Now right over here is what I would use for my automations. So I got everything set up. I got the Facebook setting, I got the copyright 2016 setting, so that whenever I start a new file for my new TTC videos, I don't have to start everything over because everything's there. I got this, I got this, I got this, and that's for automations. And what I do is that whenever I do a TTC video, I remove one of the videos and put a new one and title it. This would be titled, actually no, What I usually do, this one's local, this section here is express, and so what would happen after I'm done editing, I would delete this. I would retile the video as 191C, and I find this to be pretty easy because I don't have to start everything over. Instead of starting a new file, I instead go to my last file that I did, and after it makes it much more easier so that I don't have to start everything over. So along with that, let's start with editing right now. And where should I begin? So yeah, I even got the intro. I even got the title card. I even got the root number, the pictures, and that's about everything. So that I don't want to start everything over. So let's go. Now the first thing that we're gonna do is that we're gonna grab the title card. Now here's my title card, and the title card, you could pretty much use it for any single use a photo editor to make a title card. You got the title of the video, you got the title of the route, you got the title of the destination, you got the picture in the background, you got the route, you got the route in the middle, you got the TTC logo to let the audience know of what transit company I'm doing. And once in a while, let's say since it's my 5th anniversary, I sometimes have a watermark posted right over here. I did the same thing for Blue Night Month. I did the same thing for during the Pan Am Games. I did the same thing when I did for what's it called? Canada's Wonderland Month. So any special occasion, I usually do that. So right now, let's drag this over here, and there's a problem. Now, as you can see on the screen, you got these two black lines. You got these two black lines, and what I usually do is I click here, and because I want everything to be full screen, I want everything to be full screen, whatever picture that I post. So I click here, and I go here, and I click match output aspect, and now everything's full screen and we're good to go. So I posted I posted on the top here, and then after that I go back to the picture, and I drag the route map here, the same thing. Now as you can see, you may be wondering, over here, that's the entire route map of the 37 Islington, and over here is the entire route map of the branch itself. What I usually do sometimes is that I usually edit out the part that goes to Steeles Avenue, so that I could let the audience know that this is the entire branch that I'll be filming in this that I filmed during the recording session. So let's drag it here, and after that I chip it, I cut a little bit of here, and let's go to photos. And I have taken a photo during and this is the bus that I took during my shoot. You got the 37A, you got 8025, so when I title my video it would say 8025. However, I only had the chance to take a picture of the back of the bus. So, which means what I usually do is that I take, these are all the photos I've taken in the past. So what I usually do is that I store all these photos, and then so that in the future, whenever, yeah, I just take all these photos, and in the future, whenever I need them, and I'm gonna use this photo for the front of the bus, and these photos will be available at the end of the year on my Facebook page, and you'll see them, all these photos, on my photos of 2016 video. So we got another problem here. You gotta get rid of these black parts. So what I do is this pretty much the same thing I did with my 37 Islington title card. So I go to match output, and I use this to move the photo, and now we'll just move it to center, and now it's full screen, and I could drag it there and pretty much do, and I do the same thing with here. Match output, match the output, and then I keep dragging until it's center, and there you go. Now I got two photos. All my photos, all my title cards is 16 by 9, which is something which is all my videos have in my channel. So what I do next is I delete the lower level of my last TTC videos, and I go down and I move it down here. So let's take a while until this loads. It's gonna take a little while to load because this is a very huge file, and just let it wait to load, and that's it. Now that the file has been loaded, what I got right here is where the automation announcement sound says next stop Islington subway station. So what I do in this situation, wait, hold on a second, oops, is cut, and then I cut again, and now I have this one piece of audio, and what I do is I go to grouping, and I remove, and I delete the video, and now all I have is the file. And I cut the file, and I drag this back so that I got the full video again, and I go back here and I paste it, and now it sounds correct. Now, there's another thing that I need to do before we could start editing fully, and that is adding in moving the photo, which is, to me, it's not important, but I do this because for the sake of doing it. So let's say I want I put a key mark here. These are on the left, these are key marks, and then so I copy it and I paste it, and that's another key mark. So I paste it here, and let's say I want to move this to somewhere around here, and then at the next key mark the photo comes to normal, which would look like this. Okay, I'm gonna move it a little bit here, and let's do it again. So that's about it. I guess that's it for the intro. You got that. You got this. You got the photos. And now you got the most important thing, the video. So let's do that right now. By the way, I just want to let you know that the video that I filmed it on is the format is AVC HD, and for my past formats I filmed on WMV, MP4, etc. So that's all I could say about that. And all I need to do now, I got that faded in, and now our job is to look for areas that need to be cut down. Look for, let's say I'm stuck in an intersection for about a minute. I could cut that down by a minute or two, depending on how long I'm stuck at the intersection. So that's what we'll be doing for a while. So let's sit down and let's see what needs to be cut and then let's move on from there. Another thing I forgot to add is that if the automation announcement on the title card, if the audio is if the air conditioning is droning the audio from the automation announcement, another thing I could do is that I could grab one of my previous videos. Let's say I don't know, let's say I did the 45 Kipling and it says next stop Kipling subway station, and the audio is pretty much clean. But let's say I was doing the 192, and the audio for the 192, the air conditioning is too loud for even to hear the automation announcement. I could grab that clip from a 45 Kipling and added and thus I could add it below the title card. Let's take something like the 514 Cherry, and I click on the video. And as you could see, there's no audio, and that's because the TTC driver turned off the automation announcement, so that I can't even get an audio from the to what destination is going to. So sometimes I have the audio here and sometimes I wouldn't, or sometimes I will grab a clip from another previous video I did. It just depends. But here, as you can see, I go here, and this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about earlier, where the bus goes to a complete stop and it's stuck at an intersection. So what I do here is that I cut here, I go all the way here, and right before the bus starts, I cut this one big chunk and I drag it here. I delete the clip and I drag it here, and then let's see what we have now. And that is what I called time saving. That is what I called cutting down the video from its original time to something even shorter. I could literally take an hour video and cut it down to 45 minutes to at least 40 minutes. And that is what I do to save time. I cut down and trim some parts so that the audience is not there hanging and waiting, and let's just make things go faster, make things fast paced. Now another thing that I do during editing is that, by the way, this is from the 11 Bayview TTC video I did, is that whenever I'm stuck in traffic, I put the traffic text on the bottom of the screen, and I speed the video as if to say that it's even with all this traffic, it feels like if there was no traffic at all, I'm going on a normal speed. And I do this because just imagine you're watching the video and you're stuck in this part where you had to watch 8 minutes of traffic, and so that could be really painful. So what I do is to save up time, is to speed the video to avoid things to get pretty boring and slow paced, because whenever it comes to videos like this, things need to go fast and fast and fast, and we can't things cannot hang on for more than a minute. So whenever a bus is stuck in the middle, like on an intersection for about a minute or two, I cut that. Whenever a bus is stuck in the middle of traffic, I speed up the video. So that is something that needs to be done in order for things to be fast paced. So after editing some of the parts, what ended up happening is that I'm down to 33 minutes and 49 seconds, and the original clip was 37 minutes. I know it's not much, but I guess when I was on the bus didn't really stop that much. So it's sometimes I come to situations where bus kind of takes a little while going through the intersections, and once in a while I come across traffic. But here, everything seems to be pretty normal, except for a few parts, of course. But after all that, this is what has come down for. But there's one more thing to do before we end the editing, and that is the automations and the Facebook and the copyright sign and the Facebook notices to my Facebook link on the description. And what I mean is here, so that people could look for my look at the link in the description. So what I do is that I move the automations in the end, and move the Facebook link and the copyright link with it, and I move it all the way to the end of the video. And the final product will come as 34 minutes and 6 seconds. And what I do is that I fade the end of the video, and let's see what we got. Got that. And that's pretty much it. Now there's one more thing to do, and that is to edit the automations, so that when I do the automations, people will have a little link to the videos that I've posted already. And other YouTubers have done the same thing. I've been doing automations since 2014, and since other YouTubers were doing it, and I decided to just do it too. And so that just to let people know that I got more videos and have easier links and stuff. So so what I do is that 191C Highway 27 Rocket. Then after that, I deleted the 186, and for every transit video I do, I always update the automations. Either is and this is what I do every time when I do a new video. I always update the automations. Oops, not responding. We gotta wait. It's loading. So yeah, that's what I do every time for automations. But for next year, what I've been thinking of doing instead is cards. So that that's another thing that YouTubers are doing. They either use automations or they use cards, as they use the physical. They grab the thumbnail, and you can see the thumbnail here and here. Or instead of creating a box around the frame of the video and just click in the box. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but cards is basically the same thing as automations, but much more different, and that's what I think I'm doing next year as well. So I got this, and I delete the audio. And I post it here. Can't do this on Windows Movie Maker. Sony Vegas Pro, you can pretty much do a lot of things. Get the program if you really like editing, and you minimize the video. Let's try to fit it at the correct place. And there you go. And that's it. And there's a theme song. And that is how you make a transit video. Everything's complete. You got the intro. You got that. You got that. You got that. And then you got the edit. You got some of the parts have been cut out along the route. You got you got the copyright. You got the Facebook notice, the link, and after that, you got the automations. And once I edit the automations, people go here, and then if you want to go to subscribe, people could go there too. But once again, next year I'm thinking of doing turning my automations into cards, which is again like automations, but the automations I'm doing doesn't work for mobile. But if I do cards, if you're watching my videos on a mobile phone, my automation, the cards, you could click through your phone instead, because regular automations don't work on mobile. So that's why I think I'm moving to cards. So anyways, after the video's edit, let's wait for a second. So after everything is done, it's time to render, and we go and that's where I render the video so that it could turn into the file that I want, and in the end it will be an MP4 file. So I go, just waiting, go to 1080p, and that's it. I just made a transit video, and that's how it's done. The rendering usually takes about, depending on how long the video is, usually takes around 3 to 5 hours. I know that's very, very long, but especially if it's on 1080p, and especially if the video is very long, it's gonna take a while for it to be complete. So that's why it'll take very long. And once everything's done, I upload it on YouTube. I fix the titles, I fix the description, we shouldn't say much, along with the description to my Facebook page. Then after that, put it on the playlist, and then finally edit the animations. And that's pretty much it. And that is how I, as a YouTuber, make my transit videos. So that is pretty much it. After hours, I upload it on YouTube, I fix the automations, I put it on the playlist, and that is how you make a transit video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that is some of the things that you need to know about transit fanning. That is my method, and if you like to do something like this, you can find your own method and create something great, create something original, and create something fun. I hope you enjoy, and there are more videos coming before the new year. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next time.